The first rule drilled into every human diplomat was simple: think before you speak. The second rule was even simpler: if you're unsure, say nothing at all. I broke both within 5 minutes of meeting the Keltari. The chamber aboard the Citadel station was designed to intimidate. Its ceiling arched high above us like the ribcage of a colossal beast, glowing with bioluminescent veins that pulsed slowly, almost like a heartbeat. Representatives of 23 species sat in concentric rings, their forms ranging from towering silicon-based colossi to drifting clouds of sentient spores contained in shimmering fields. And there I was, Elias Mercer, Junior Envoy of Earth, standing on a polished obsidian platform, sweating through my uniform and trying very hard not to embarrass my entire species. Then she entered. The Keltari ambassador moved with unsettling grace. She was tall, slender, her skin a soft, iridescent blue that shifted color depending on the angle of the light. For golden eyes regarded the room with calm intelligence, and her long silver hair floated slightly, as if gravity had politely decided not to apply to her. She was beautiful. That thought alone nearly cost me my composure. Formal greetings were exchanged. Ritual phrases echoed through translation fields. Everything was proceeding exactly as rehearsed, until she tilted her head and asked, through the universal translator, "Human representative, what is your species' guiding philosophy when facing the unknown?" This was my cue to deliver a carefully prepared answer about curiosity, cooperation, and peaceful exploration. Instead, my mouth betrayed me. "We figure things out as we go," I said. "And if that fails, we hit the problem until it stops being a problem." Silence. A deep, horrified silence swept the chamber. My heart plummeted. Somewhere behind me, the senior ambassador from Earth inhaled sharply, likely preparing my eulogy. The Keltari woman stared at me. Her eyes widened, then narrowed. Then she smiled. It wasn't the polite, diplomatic smile I'd seen practiced in front of mirrors. It was sharp, predatory, and utterly delighted. "Say it again," she said softly. Every instinct screamed don't. But something in her expression told me this wasn't a threat. So I repeated it, slower this time. "We hit the problem. Until it stops being a problem." Her smile grew. What followed would later be referred to in Galactic history texts as the moment humanity was reclassified. The Keltari were an ancient species, respected and feared. They were strategists, philosophers, masters of probability and long-term planning. Their wars were rare, but when they fought, they calculated outcomes centuries in advance. What no one realized, what I certainly didn't, was that the Keltari had a weakness. They hesitated. For millennia, they had encountered a phenomenon they called the spiral threat. Entities from beyond normal spacetime that adapted faster than prediction models could handle. Entire civilizations had vanished trying to analyze the threat before acting. The Keltari had been studying it for over 300 years, paralyzed by uncertainty. My stupid, offhand comment shattered something. Later the ambassador, Her Excellency Sherry Tal, would explain it to me. "You are reckless," she said as we walked through a quieter corridor of the station. "Illogical. Dangerously impulsive." I swallowed. "I'm sorry." She laughed, a melodic sound that echoed strangely in the hall. "No. You are magnificent." She explained that humans were unique, not because of superior strength or intelligence, but because of our refusal to freeze in the face of incomplete information. "You act," she said, "even when you do not fully understand. Especially then." Within days, humanity was invited into restricted councils. Within weeks, we were shown classified data on the spiral threat. Within months, Earth ships were retrofitted with experimental Keltari technology and hurled straight at the anomaly. Not to observe. Poke it. Hard. The first engagement was chaos. Sensors failed. Physics twisted. 3 ships were lost instantly. The 4th detonated its core inside the anomaly. And the spiral screamed. No one had ever heard it before. Human commanders adapted on the fly. When energy weapons failed, they used kinetics. When kinetics failed, they rammed. When ramming failed, they overloaded reactors and laughed while doing it. The spiral retreated. The galaxy watched in stunned disbelief as a species barely out of its home system accomplished in 6 months what ancient powers couldn't in centuries. After the final battle, Sherry visited Earth. We stood on a balcony overlooking a city alive with lights and motion. Air traffic crisscrossed the sky in barely controlled patterns. Humanity in all its chaotic glory. "You spoke without thinking," she said, leaning beside me. "Yeah," I replied. "I tend to do that." "It changed everything," she said. "Your words reminded us that survival is not about certainty. It is about resolve." She turned to me, 4 golden eyes reflecting Earth's endless movement. "When the spiral returns," she said, "we will face it together." I smiled, a little nervous, a little proud. "Good," I said. "Because next time." She raised an eyebrow. "We hit it harder." She smiled again. The galaxy did not change overnight. That was something the historians got right. But perspectives did. In the months following the spiral's retreat, the Citadel updated its classifications. Humanity was no longer listed as a developing species. We were refiled under a new, rarely used designation. Unpredictable strategic catalysts made some species nervous. Others quietly rerouted their defense planning around us. A few, very few, requested alliances immediately. As for the Keltari, they did something no one expected. They listened. Sherry remained Earth's primary liaison, spending long stretches among humans. She attended military briefings where arguments turned into shouting matches and somehow produced results anyway. She observed engineers duct-taping experimental drives together and calling it good enough. She watched medics improvise treatments under fire, refusing to accept casualties as inevitable. One evening, long after the spiral had faded into distant sensors, we stood again on the balcony overlooking the city. "You are aware," she said, "that most civilizations consider you terrifying." Chuckled. "We get that a lot. They ask me why," she continued. "Why humans succeed where others fail. And what do you tell them?" She looked out at the traffic, the noise, the chaos that somehow never quite collapsed. "I tell them humans do not wait for permission from the universe," she said. "You argue with it. You challenge it. And when it refuses to cooperate." She turned to me, smiling in that same sharp, delighted way I had seen on our first meeting. "You hit it until it changes its mind." Somewhere far beyond known space, the spiral recoiled, wounded, wary, and no longer certain. For the first time in a very long time, the unknown was afraid. And humanity was just getting started.